Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the crypto market, trying to figure out what's a real trading signal and what's just noise.
You can feel it, right? The market's got this bullish vibe. But is it the real deal or is it just a lot of hype? I mean, every headline you read seems to say something different. So today, we're going to cut through all that confusion. We're breaking down the core signals and the risks for 4 of the biggest assets on every trader's watch list.
Okay, let's kick things off with the king, Bitcoin. The hype is absolutely off the charts right now, but what are the fundamentals actually telling us? Let's try and separate that big, juicy story from the hard data.
So the bull case, it's pretty straightforward. You've got huge institutions piling in through ETFs, plus some positive signs on the macro front, things like potential tariff relief. But, and this is a big but, the risk is just as obvious. The market is leaning so heavily on political narratives right now. And if that liquidity suddenly dries up, well, those ETF flows could flip on a dime and make any downturn way, way worse. And hey, speaking of political narratives, here's a perfect example. This one single idea, this quote, that the US government will never sell its Bitcoin holdings, it's become this incredibly powerful force driving that HODL mentality. I mean, think about it. It's such a simple statement, but its impact on investor psychology, it's just massive. All right, next up, let's pivot over to Ethereum. The growth story here is, super impressive, but it comes with a totally different set of risks that you've got to have on your radar if you're trading it. Okay, so the signal for ETH, the good news is really 2 things. First, you've got the big players, the whales, who are buying up huge amounts. And second, all these Layer 2 solutions are promising some pretty incredible scaling improvements. So, what's the noise? What's the catch? Well, ETH has a really high beta to Bitcoin. That means when Bitcoin makes a move, ETH tends to make an even bigger one. And that works both ways, up and down. Plus, let's be real, the competition is getting seriously stiff.
And look at this, we've got the on-chain data to prove it. Over 260,000 ETH was just pulled off exchanges. Now, for anyone who follows this stuff, you know that's a classic bullish signal. It tells you that the big holders are stacking up, they're accumulating, and they're betting on a price increase.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the high-speed challenger in the room, Solana. This thing is a pure performance bet, and man, is it generating a ton of hype online, especially with retail traders. So what's the signal here? It's all about speed and this just viral meme coin culture that's pulling in new users like a magnet. But the noise, the thing everyone's worried about, is its history of network outages. Look, for the big money, the institutional players, to get really serious about Solana, they have to know the lights are going to stay on. And right now, that's still a pretty big question mark. And this chart right here just shows you how wild the buzz around Solana is. It is absolutely dominating social media sentiment. But take a look at who's right up there in the top 3. XRP. And XRP's bull case, it's got nothing to do with speed, and it's definitely not about memes. Which, of course, brings us to XRP. Now, XRP is playing a totally different game. It's positioning itself as the regulatory safe crypto. After that huge landmark legal win against the SEC, a lot of investors are looking at it as one of the only assets with some real legal clarity here in the US.
So that legal clarity, that's the signal. The noise, well, the adoption just isn't there. Not yet, anyway. When you actually dig into the on-chain metrics, things like daily active users, XRP is way behind the competition. The legal win was a massive deal, no doubt, but so far it just hasn't translated into widespread real-world use. And that's really the core dilemma for anyone trading XRP right now, isn't it? Is that legal victory enough on its own to carry the price higher? Or does it eventually have to prove it has some genuine, real-world utility to justify all the hype?
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We're going to give you a super simple framework to help you think about your own strategy in this market.
Think of this as your trader's cheat sheet. It really boils everything down. For Bitcoin, the signal is institutional adoption, but the noise is that political dependency. For Ethereum, the signal is whale accumulation. The noise is that high beta to Bitcoin. For Solana, the signal is pure speed, while the noise is all about network reliability. And finally, for XRP, the signal is regulatory clarity, but the big noise is that lagging adoption.
So it all comes down to this one question, and it's a simple one. What are you actually trading? Are you trading the signal, the hard data, the fundamentals? Or are you trading the noise, those powerful, compelling stories that drive all the hype? Because right now, in this market, knowing the difference, well, it's everything.